From the east to the west, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DDICD Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTimeAngles. And I know I'm coming in late today, man, but it's been a busy day. Me and Jeff did the NFL Bet Exchange earlier, and I had a lot of information I had to put down for this show. So I wanted to make sure that I got the show off no matter what today. So we're here. Let's go ahead. It's going to be a little quick today, so let's go ahead and jump into it. CFB Power 5 Preview is coming up. You guys already know I got you set up when it comes to over, under, win totals, all that good stuff. Quick and little analysts and everything, why I'm going in that direction and all that good stuff. Because in college football, you really don't know what to expect with these teams because it's always about the heart, the adrenaline of teams as well, too. And how are they coming into the game that week as well too? Is this a great week for everybody? Is it a bad week for everybody? It all depends. But let's go ahead and get into our first group, and that's going to be the ACC preview. And in the ACC preview, this is how I have it set up. In the Atlantic Division, I see the Boston College Golden Eagles going under 5.5 this year, plus 120. There's just not, it's the same old Boston College that I see every single year. It's either going to be effort. It's going to be effort, but will the talent be there to help them win games? That's the biggest question. I think that they land right at 5-7 this year, so I'm taking the under 5.5. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But odds makers are saying that they're a better team than that. They're looking at them as more of a 6 to 7 win team this season. So we'll see how it goes, and we move forward from there. We have the Clemson under 10 this year. I'm not saying that they don't win over 10 games this year, but I just feel like they land right at 10. They're not going to go anywhere over 10 this year. And you guys have to remember, this is for the regular season as well, too. So pretty much I do feel like they stay right at the number 10. So from there, plus 105, we can go from there. And I look over and I see FSU at over 9.5. I got FSU winning at least 11 games this year. Okay, I think that they do have some tough games early in the season, but I feel like they're going to sheet the ACC this year. I feel like they're going to absolutely sweep the whole conference this year. And so I'm probably jumping ahead of the curve right now on who I'm going to pick as the champion. But I feel like this is the rebirth of Florida State. I've talked about this earlier on shows this summer as well, too. And I'm still confident about what I see with the Seminoles. All right, North Carolina State, I feel like are the dark horse here in the conference this year. They have a really balanced team, and they have a lot of good things going on down there in Raleigh. And nobody's talking about it. But I feel like this year can be a year where they can step up and surprise a lot of teams. So I do like them with the over 6.5 this year. And then, Syracuse is always going to be a good covering team. They're going to be a team that's going to be, very attractive early in the season, but later on in the season, as the season progresses and goes along, they'll probably be figured out exactly who they are. So I got them still going under 6.5 games, and the odds makers are probably pretty much agreeing that this is not going to be a team that they see being one of the top teams in the ACC next season, this season coming up. I'm sorry. And then you have Wake Forest. Wake Forest is replacing Sam Hartman at quarterback. I know that's going to be a little difficult, but they do have a good rapport as a team in place. And their coach does have a good understanding of his roster as well, too. So this will be a team that will do the same exact thing that they did last year. They'll ruffle some feathers. They'll have some good weeks. They'll have some bad weeks. But I think that they're a 7 or 5 team or better. Let's keep it real. That's how I feel. And we are getting plus money for that as well, too. All right. Now we got the Coastal Division. We got Duke, the over 6.5 here. Duke played really good football last year, and they have a really good offense in place as well, too. And, it's the smart guys. So why not? I feel like they can be a sneaky 7-5, 8-4 this year, and absolutely compete in the Coastal Division, which is always a wide open conference as is. So, a wide open division as is. So it is what it is at the end of the day. And don't get mad at me because I know that I see UNC's not in the group, but we're going to go ahead. We'll fix that in a second. But they should be in the group, but for some odd reason, I forgot to put them there, but we'll have them back up there in a second. So pretty much we have a very, very, very good group that's sitting here. We have the Georgia Tech. Yeah, I don't see much with Georgia Tech this year. Let's just keep it real. I don't see much with them. I see them more as a team that's on the up and up for years to come along. But other than that, I don't think that this team is really ready yet. There's a lot more teams who are much better than the than Georgia Tech in this group. So that's where I'm leaning with them because the ACC is tough, and I just think that they're going to be more patsies than anything, and that's why I'm putting them in that category right now. Is because I just really feel like this team is not going to be that good. It's crazy because they do kind of run a system where you would feel that eventually this team could really go out there and kill stuff, but it's just not there yet. So, pretty much I just feel like what happens here is going to be a team that really just is going to be a whooping boy for the rest of the conference. I'm just going to keep it real. And that's how I'm feeling with that. So, all in all, that should be a very good situation. Now, Miami is probably a team that I can say that is probably back on their up and up this year as well, too. I feel like Miami could run the table a little bit. They could win the Coastal this year as well. Like, you feel like every year Miami can win the Coastal, but I like the plus 110. I think they're an 8 or 9 win team this year because they have to turn it around at some point. And I feel like this could be the year where, you get a better Canes team than we've had over the last few years. Now, with North Carolina, they're not here listed, but I still have North Carolina going under 8.5. There's a lot of pressure on North Carolina this season. They have a national championship type quarterback, but they don't have a national championship type roster to back him up. But they'll have some big games, they'll have some big wins. But I feel like they land right at 8 wins for the season. And so the under 8.5 feels like a very, very strong play, in my opinion. But once again, this is a team that can run the table and win the Coastal as well, too. Now we have Pitt. Pitt is a team that will probably struggle because they have a new group coming in. It's a very young roster over there as well, too. Brand new coach, all that good stuff. So I think that the under 7 is a strong play. You know what I mean? I think it's a very, very strong play, and we'll go from there. I think that it should be some good a good season for them, but it's a learning season for them. And then we got Virginia. Virginia is kind of low on the totem pole this year. They got after their tragedies that occurred last year, it kind of turned some people off from the university and attending the university. They lost out on some recruits because of it, but all in all, it's going to take a little bit to rebuild this situation here, but I feel like they're going to have a good, spiritual season this year. They may not win 5 games, but they'll win 4. How about that? They'll win 4. That's how I'm feeling. So I'm going to take them with the over 3. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Virginia Tech is absolutely putrid. I haven't seen a UV Tech team this bad ever, really. I'm almost 40, but, all these years I've been watching Virginia Tech, they've always consistently been a team that's 7-5 or better. or 8-4 or better, 9-3 or better. But these last few years, they've been kind of a shell of themselves. They haven't really been the same since Frank Beamer was there. So I feel like this year will probably be a bottom out year for Virginia Tech, where they're going to have to, where the writing's going to hit the wall on how they're going to recruit moving forward. But I think the under 5.5 is a good play here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Now, who do I pick as the champion of this conference? And I already told on myself, but it is going to be Florida State. And Florida State comes in here rocking a plus 170. So it's not that big of a number, because you look at Clemson's number, the Clemson is plus 150. So, it's kind of like either or. And that's how it's looking to me. And they play in the same division. So when they line it up this year, most likely it's going to be the ACC title game before you play the actual ACC title game. So that's going to be a great one. I look forward to it. Florida State is my champion of the ACC this year, and I can see Florida being in the Final Four this year as well, too, for college football. Because if they do win the conference and they win it in defining fashion, there's no way they're holding out Florida State from the top four, because Florida State is a traditional team over the last 40 years of college football. Even though they've had some real lean years the last 5 or so, everybody knows that Florida State is a household name, and everybody knows that they were the face of the ACC for a very long time when it came to football. So yeah, I just feel like this team is returning back to the top, and that's why I'm picking them to win the ACC. Now, let's move forward and talk about the Big 12, the Big 12 preview. And you guys know the Big 12 has 4 brand new teams in the Big 12 with BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. So those teams have joined to make the conference now a 14-team conference. So let's go ahead and look at how I set this group up. Now, we have ourselves BYU at the top. They're saying BYU is going to struggle a little bit because this is the first year they've been back in the conference in about a decade. They did leave the Mountain West a while ago because they felt like they were too big for that conference, and they wanted to play as an independent and pick their own schedule and see exactly how they could fare against their own schedule. And we could say BYU did pretty decent against that, you know what I mean? And BYU had some big upsets over USC in that span as well, too. So, BYU was able to grow up a little bit and see that they are able to stick right there with the big boys, something that they knew they couldn't do 30 years ago. But now they're in the biggest conference they've ever been in, a power conference, and now they can say now finally that they're a power conference team. And I think BYU is going to be one of the tougher home games for everybody that plays them in the Big 12. So going over 4.5 games is very, very likely. So I do like the 4.5, and minus 190 pretty much tells me that they're a 5-win team or better. Maybe. They have to step it up, though. It's going to be tough in the Big 12, but they're a tough group. So we'll see how it goes. Baylor, over 7. I think Baylor is going to have themselves another really good season, but even better than they were last year. They're adding some good talent there. They got the same quarterback coming back from last season as well, too. So it's going to be a very, very telling season with Baylor. And I think if Baylor can get to the 8, 9, 10 mark, they should be a team that possibly plays in the conference championship as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. Cincinnati coming in, going from an AAC power to what they feel is a bottom feeder of the Big 12. But I think that Cincinnati is going to be another team that's going to really surprise some folks here. And that's because they play relentless defense, and that's something that's kind of rare in the conference. So this year is going to be a little bit different because teams are going to have to step their game up. Cincinnati can beat you 19-7 easily, and they're probably the one team that can do that in this conference. So that looms danger to me. And I think that Cincinnati is much better than the 4.5 that they're giving them. So I'm going to take them with the over as well, too. Houston, on the other hand, though, Houston is in the middle of a rebuild. And that coach that they have there is good, but he was just in the Big 12 a few years back with the West Virginia, and he quit that job to take over Houston, where he thought he was going to be able to dominate and be in the conference that's kind of a power conference, still kind of a mid conference. But Houston decided to go take the big dollars and move on to the Big 12 and, reestablish some rivalries as well, too. So with that, Houston's under a little bit of pressure, but we know that Houston is building something for the future. They know it doesn't have to be right now. When they were in the AAC, they had the roster to dominate that conference. Now they have a roster that's considered middling in the Big 12, but they can overcome that as well too. And they have a good amount of experience playing Texas and Texas Tech all these years, TCU. So all that's going to be really fun when you see that Texas rivalry, all those Texas rivalries really, really play a big factor into this season. Also, let me not forget Baylor. Baylor is a part of that predicament as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward. Now we have Iowa State. They are set to not be that good of a team. And that's kind of surprising, you know what I mean? But it's understandable. Iowa usually has to take a while to put together really good teams, but they're always going to be a team that's going to give you issues when you come to aim. So that's one thing that you can factor in. So them being a 5-7 team, that is very doable in my opinion. So that's why I have them over 4.5 games. Now, Kansas, on the other hand, Kansas has a lot of high hopes going into this season, but it's Kansas. Come on, man. Let's keep it real. I think Kansas will be happy with a 6-6 season, to be honest with you. I don't think they get over that threshold of 6 this year. So that's why I'm taking the hook, because I feel like they can land right at 6 or below. So that's where I'm going with that one, minus 125. Kansas State is an intriguing team. I think Kansas State is a team that everybody has to take very seriously. They got a big chip on their shoulder. They won the Big 12 title game last year and were left out of the Final Four. The team that they beat was in the Final Four. So that kind of left a bad taste in their mouth moving forward. So I think that Kansas State would be a team that plays up to or over their absolute capability. So I truly do feel what happens here is that you have a team in the Wildcats that can run the table and go ahead and get themselves a good run this year and possibly steal that Big 12 title, because I know Oklahoma and Texas feel like, that they have rights to that since it's their last season here, but man, it goes to the best team. And I feel like Kansas State has a whole lot to prove this year, and they have the right type of attitude moving forward. You got Oklahoma under 9.5. I don't believe in anything Oklahoma's doing. I feel like Oklahoma really does need to bring in the de facto general of the team. I don't trust their coach that they have, because it seemed like he's the old adage of what they've been saying, a guy that started his career on third base, but that doesn't mean that you're a good coach. So pretty much he had the best roster in the conference and he still messed that up. And he wasn't able to keep those big time quarterback recruits either. Now he's dealing with the guy who's 8th year senior in Dylan Gabriel. That's cool and all, but at the same time too, hopefully you have a good freshman in place that can fill in if something goes wrong with Dylan Gabriel, which most likely will happen because he's injury prone. So the under 9.5 is just me saying that Oklahoma's going to take a bit to get back to Oklahoma status. Not meaning that they're going to be a mediocre team. They're just not going to be a team that's going to be in the top 10 at the end of the year. So that's where I'm going with that one. And that's where we're at with that. So pretty much we move forward and we have the Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, I like them. I think Oklahoma State is good enough to go over 6.5 this year. And that should be something that works very well for this team. I think all in all, they're another team that can possibly run the table here in the conference, because I know they got a big chip on their shoulder. They were one of the better teams in the conference most of the season last year. They just had some hiccups at the end. But I do like them coming into this season. And if they can duplicate anything what they did last season, they're in good shape. Let's just keep it real. They're going to be in good shape moving forward. So Oklahoma State, I like their chances. Over 6.5 is pretty good with the plus 100. Then you got TCU under 7.5 plus 105. I think that's going to be a strong play as well too, because TCU has a lot of their top tier players that are gone. They're not there anymore. So TCU's rebuilding, and last year they were supposed to be second to last. I think this year they fall into that category a little bit more consistently, because they don't have those super seniors this year and those super athletes this year, in my opinion. We move on to Texas. Texas looks like the best team in the conference. They got the best quarterback situation. They got a pretty good running back situation, and they got some pretty top flight wide receivers. It's just all depends on how good that offensive line is going to be this year. So I do like them with the over 9.5 minus 135. Odds makers seem like they're looking at them as a 10-2, 11-1 team, possibly undefeated at the end of the year. So we'll see how it goes. And then we have Texas Tech, the under 7.5 plus 110. You know, Texas Tech is always a 7-5, 6-6 team. I don't see them being better than that this year. So not much to say about that. Then we have UCF, brand new to the show. I think UCF can land right at 7. They'll possibly be a 6-6 team. We know that UCF is going to be a tough road game for everybody in the conference when they do go down to Orlando. So I'm going to take the under 7 with the minus 115. And then we finish up with the West Virginia Mountaineers. I have them going over 4.5 this year. I think they're going to be much better than they're predicting they're going to be. And I think that when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, once again, Morgantown is going to be a tough place to win at. And West Virginia is going to find a way to upset one of the top teams in the conference as well, too. They do it every year. So pretty much there it is. That's going to be our group for the Big 12. And I'm going to go ahead and move forward to the Big 10. Oh, man. It's a long day today, boy. But let's go ahead, and this is what we have here. We have the Longhorns winning the title. I have the Longhorns as my conference championship this year, and they are the favorite as well, too. So, you know, Texas is sitting in the driver's seat to win this conference this year. So this should be a lot of fun in the Big 12. So let's go ahead and move on to the Big 10 preview. Big 10 is what? I think they're 14 teams deep as well. They're going to be adding 4 more teams, so they're about to be 18 teams in that conference. I think they're going to kick out 2 of the teams, though. Honestly, I think that Nebraska and Rutgers could be on their way out, or Rutgers and Maryland could be on their way out of the Big 10. Just think about it, because Rutgers and Maryland would probably be a lot better in the ACC. Just think about that. You know what I mean? New Jersey, Nebraska, or New Jersey, Maryland, it all makes a little bit of sense there. But we'll see. Let's go ahead, jump into the Big 10. And the Big 10, we have the East Division. I have Indiana being bad this year, under 3.5, and it's a plus 120 on that. But Indiana doesn't have anything. Okay, they're going to be a bad team this season, and that's all pretty much what people need to know. But one thing about them is they'll cover. I know that they'll be covering games. So I do like the under 3.5 here as a team that gets slapped around, but a team that actually covers that game as well, too. Then we have Maryland under 7.5 this year. Maryland has a good mojo going into the year. They have probably one of the better quarterbacks in the conference as well, too. But I don't think it's going to be enough for this team to get over that 7-win threshold. So I feel like they can land right at 7 games, be a bowl team, but not a team that plays a big factor in winning this conference. So we move forward. We got Michigan. And Michigan, I know Michigan is seen as the favorite because they have beat Ohio State the last 2 years. But, all in all, they will split the favoritism of who can win this conference this year. And you know what? 10.5 wins for Michigan this year. Winning 11 games is very doable, very, very doable. And the way that they've played the last few years, we all know they haven't lost one Big 12, Big 10 game since 2020. So pretty much, or we didn't even play during 2020. So, or did we? I can't remember. Did we? But all in all, Michigan has been so good in conference play, 26-0 the last 2 years. So pretty much, not 26-0, but what do I want to say? They have been. He played 9 games, I think, 10 games. So they've been 22-0 the last 2 years in conference. So that's pretty good because they haven't lost games in conference play either season. So that's something that you really can hang your hat on. And that's a really, really big deal. So that is incredible. And Michigan comes in here with that mantra. Michigan State, a team that's rebuilding right now, but I still think that their coach is on the hot seat because they fell very far from grace, and they're trying to pick up the pieces at Michigan State at this moment. They had an issue with fighting with Michigan last year. I think that they go over 5 games, though. I think that that's a little bit of a disrespect right there, so I have to take them over the 5. You have Ohio State over 10.5, plus 100. I think Ohio State is an easy 12-0 team this year. You look at the schedule, they're not playing against much to start the season off, and they seem to be able to run that schedule, but we know it's going to be tough with Penn State. It's going to be tough with the Wisconsins of the world. It's not going to be a walk in the park for Ohio State because they have the biggest target on their back because they're Ohio State. So I feel like they can get their 11 wins this year, possibly 12 this year. And I still think that it's going to be just another one of those great hyped up games when they play Michigan again this year. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We got Penn State under 9.5 plus 120. Penn State should be a very good team this year. But once again, you see what side of the board that they play on. And I think since they play on that side of the board, it's going to be really tough for them to win 10 games. I think that they're going to run into some issues with Michigan and Ohio State and possibly Michigan State. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't have that much confidence in Penn State being a 10-game winner this year. But you know what? The odds makers are saying that they are good enough to be a 10-win team because that's why they got them at plus 120 on the under. So we'll see how it goes. And then we have Rutgers, who I have over 3.5. Anytime you got Schiano coaching that team has an opportunity to win 5 games or better. He ain't going to sit up there and just let that team be sorry. He is just not in his nature. So you know how that goes. And then we have the West Division. We got Bielema back at Illinois. I do like him with the over 6.5. And this is a possible spoiler to everybody to steal the conference this year because Bielema looked really good in a lot of games that they played last year. Not him, but the defense looked exceptional. And then the offense was able to grind out games as well, too. So you have to watch out for the Illini, as you have to truly watch out for them because this seems like a processing season and more up and up than anything. Then you have Iowa under 8.5 minus 115. You also have Minnesota over 7 plus 100. I'm kind of speeding through because there's not much to say about these teams. They're always going to be the same type of teams. They're going to win big games for you, but then they're going to lose big games for you as well, too. Then you have Nebraska over 6.5. I feel like the Matt Rule effect is going to have this team really good and possibly steal the west side of the Big Ten, and I know Nebraska fans are excited about what possibly can occur with this head coach. Then you have Northwestern under 3. This team might only win one game this year. It's that ugly. I think they got a bunch of walk-ons playing at this point right now. Nobody really cares to play for Northwestern after what happened with the hazing situation and everything like that. So they're going to be going with a lot of guys that are going to be the Rudy or like Rudy and shit. So it's going to be tough. So they'll probably get themselves one non-conference win against one of those Riverside School of the Deaf teams, but all in all, I don't see this team winning one game in the Big Ten this year. If they do, good for them, but most likely they don't. But they do have 2 teams that they can possibly do that to, probably Indiana or Rutgers. We have Purdue. I like them with the over 5 because everybody's always sleeping on Purdue. They're always under the radar, and they always figure out ways to win big games in West Lafayette. So I do like them with the over 5. And Wisconsin hasn't done much over the last couple years, and I don't see them doing much more this year. I think that they're going to be fairly average. They're going to be very middling, and them getting to 8 wins, that's a good thing for them this year, even though it's showing up that it looks like they should be the West winner this year because they're plus 130 on the under 8.5. But I think, though, you could possibly be a team with 8 wins and win this side of the division. With the on the East Division, you know what time it is. You have to finish with 11 or so wins. You almost have to go undefeated on that side to get into the title game because it's going to come down to Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan on that side. But the West Division is wide open. You don't know who's going to win this side, but you know Northwestern doesn't have a chance. Okay, we can just put that in play right now. But when you look at how the wins and how the wins work, you see that everybody's over 5 or better except for Northwestern. So they're telling you it's a wide open deal. So who do I have winning? None other than the Ohio State. I just feel like Ohio State has the sweet revenge on their mind this year, but they are co-favorites with Michigan this year at plus 180. So to me, you're getting value on both sides. So if you like Michigan, you can take Michigan. But I just feel like Ohio State got some really, really bad taste in their mouth from these previous beatdowns from Michigan the last 2 years. And their idea right now is it's not worry about the national championship. Let's worry about beating Michigan first. And that's how I'm feeling with this Ohio State team going into this season. But they know that they got to beat up on the rest of their conference as well, too. So this should be a very, very, very good season in the Big Ten. And I think we're going to have ourselves some good parity, but it's going to come down to the usual suspects as usual. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Pac-12. And I'm going to start moving a little bit quickly because I've been at this for a while today, and we are getting down to the point to where games are starting to start. So let me go ahead and get you guys this Pac-12. I got Arizona going under 5 plus 100. This is the Pac-12's last season. Very sad. Because this is my home conference. And, it's sad to see this conference go. But you know what? I saw the Raiders have to move back to Oakland, then move to Las Vegas. I saw the Browns have to move to Baltimore. So, you know what? Things that I had that were some of my favorite stuff, they've already left me in football. So I'm used to it. So pretty much you have Arizona under 5 plus 100. You have Arizona State under 4.5 plus 105. Both those teams, to me, are going to be putrid this year. ASU has a true freshman starting at quarterback. Arizona probably has a 32-year-old janitor starting at quarterback. I don't know. But both those teams are very, very irrelevant to the big picture of what's going on in the Pac-12. I feel like those teams are going to build themselves up to be more efficient in the Big 12. They know that the time in the Pac-12 has ended. So it's just get through the season. Cal, on the other hand, Cal has a lot to play for because Cal is a team with no home right now. All they got is the Pac-12, and that's it. And pretty much they probably will want to play a bigger factor in the outcome of the conference as well, too. It was a beautiful sight to see Cal get to the promised land somewhat a few years back out the blue. A lot of people didn't see it coming, but they've been able to make some strides over at Cal quietly. And I feel like Cal this season is better than a 5-win team. So you got to look out for Cal. Cal, it looks like they're a team that's going to be on the up and up, especially when you got to go play them at Berkeley. And then you have Colorado, and it's the Deion show, and everybody Deion. 3.5 wins with the talent that they have should not be a problem in getting these guys to the pinnacle of 4 wins. I think that they're a 5-win team, to be honest with you. They're going to be okay, but Deion is getting a grace period this year because they don't expect much from Colorado. But Colorado has the talent with a guy like Travis Hunter and Shadir Sanders to where they've won college football games. So I don't see them being as bad as the odds makers want them to be. But we know Colorado was just a horrible team last year. But the over 3.5 plus 125 feels really good. Also, Oregon over 9.5 plus 110. Oregon is sneaky good to me right now, and that 3-1 to win the championship is a very, very profitable play in my opinion. But I didn't pick them to win the conference, but that 3-1 is nice. Then we got Oregon State. Oregon State is a team that's going to be the dark horse in this conference. I feel like Oregon State could absolutely win the conference. A lot of people should not sleep on what they got going, and I think that possibly the Oregon State game, the Apple Cup, will be not that. Not the Apple Cup. That's the one in Washington. Whatever. But the Civil War, yeah, that's what they call Oregon and Oregon State. So pretty much, I think the Civil War might come down to who wins. That could be the representative in the championship game, because Oregon State finished with the flurry last year, and they looked like a top 10 team when they beat the brakes off of Florida in the Vegas Bowl last year. I'm going to keep it real, Then you got UCLA over 8.5. I feel like UCLA, this is going to be Chip Kelly's best group ever. And they're going to be the group that puts everything together the right way. And I feel like this is a 10-win team or better. Honestly, I truly do. USC, I feel like they land right at 10 wins. I feel like USC got a couple losses in them this year, to be honest with you. I feel like Caleb Williams is going to be putting too much pressure on himself, and I don't know if that defense has really made the improvements that they truly need to make to be a sufficient unit. Now we got Utah. Utah, you know what? Utah will probably regress this year. I know they're bringing back their quarterback and everything like that, but I feel like a regression's in place, and they look like a really good 8-4 team. Let's just keep it real. I feel like they're a good 8-4 team. They're going to have their issues with UCLA, USC this year, Washington, and Oregon. I feel like they're not going to beat those teams this season. So that's where I'm going with that. And pretty much we end up with the Washington schools. And I like Washington to go under 9.5, but I like them to land on 9. I think 9 is a perfect number for that team. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And we have Wazoo. Wazoo is probably one of the more, quiet under the radar teams, but we all know going to Pullman is going to be tough business for everybody who pulls up over there. So them being a 7-5 team is very possible. So I do like them with the over 6 minus 105. So with that, we have ourselves one last conference to talk about, okay? And that's going to be the conferences of conferences. But first, who wins the Pac-12? And I have none other than the UCLA Bruins winning at 14-1. I'm taking a swing. I feel like UCLA in their final season in the Pac-12 surprise everybody and win themselves a Pac-12 title on the way out. And they beat USC in that Pac-12 title game. How about that? Because it's open. They don't have divisions anymore. It's the best 2 records at the end of the year. So if they were to play each other, that would be absolutely epic to finish up the Pac-12. And it finishes up with the 2 teams that pretty much ended the Pac-12. So with that, let's go ahead and move forward. And I'm going to be moving fast on this one. I know all my SEC people probably going to get mad at me about that. But, it's 4 o'clock. Let's go ahead. I got a whole other segment to talk about, so I got to move. We got the East Division, Florida under 5.5, plus 125. Florida's not going to be good this year. They're still building something over there. And, after that bowl game that they played last year, I'm not confident in anything Florida's doing until they really do bring in a group that's prepared to play football and not just take NIL money. We got Georgia under 11.5. I feel like Georgia is going to have a lot of pressure on them this year. And I'm not saying they can't win 11 games. I think that they I think they max out right at 11 games this year. So we'll see how it goes. They can still win the East Division easily, but I still think that they're going to have some issues this year as well too. Then you have the under 7.5 plus 105. That should be a very, very strong bet as well too. I think that Kentucky's a team that they got to build up to things. I think they'll be good enough to make a bowl, but they're not going to be better than 7-5 this year. Missouri is a team that I feel is on the up and up. They made some strides last year quietly, and I think that can translate into this season. So over 6 is very possible for them. They look like another 7-5, possibly 8-4 team on the sneaky, and I like it. South Carolina has expectations this year. South Carolina is the team that could absolutely challenge everybody in the East Division. You saw what they did last year when they got that big win. So they could possibly do it again, but we'll see how it goes. But I do like South Carolina with the over 6. Now, Tennessee is an intriguing factor. I think that Tennessee, they got a great quarterback in Milton who has a superior arm. They got great receivers and everything, but they're kind of basic. And that kind of catches up with them when they need to win their biggest games. They wind up not winning those games. So I like them with the under 9.5. I feel like they're more of a 9-3 team this year than anything. So we'll see how it goes. And then we have Vandy. Vandy should be better. Vandy isn't probably going to be a team that wins 5 games, but let's go ahead and win 4. How about that? You know what I mean? I think they can win 4 games, and they're minus 175 with that as well, too. Then you got the vaunted Alabama. Bama, they're going to be back. So I'm taking the over 10.5 plus 150. I can't believe they're giving me plus 150. You know what I mean? They're saying that Alabama is good for 2 losses this year. I looked at the schedule, and I don't think they're good for 2 losses. I think they got a loss on the schedule, but not 2 because, yeah, I know why people are thinking like that too, because you're bringing in a brand new quarterback. It's a damn near just a brand new team. And that team didn't do well last year. And so you pretty much feel like it might be the regression for Alabama, but I don't see it yet. Arkansas under 7. I think Arkansas is going to be a good start to the season. And then there'll be a team that gets kind of ripped apart in the second half of the season. Auburn is a team that's in transition right now. They don't have the roster to keep up with the Alabamas, the LSUs, and the Georgias like they usually do. So this year they're gonna it's a evaluation period for the coach, for the roster, for everybody. So I'm taking under 6.5 in this spot. Then we have the LSU over 9.5 minus 115. I feel like LSU is going to play really good football this year, and they are going to take care of their business. They're going to go after things that, that they couldn't accomplish last season. And you know what? I'm just kind of playing off the fact that they just had the girls win the national championship in basketball. So that may trickle down to the guys having a pretty good season as well, too. But we all know LSU only shows up every 6 or 7 years. And right now they won the national championship in 2020. So it's 2023. So they might be 3 years too early. I don't know. But Brian Kelly is coaching the best team he's ever coached before. And that should tell you one thing. And then, he just needed a year to get used to the SEC. Now he's used to it. Now he understands exactly how it rolls in the SEC. So now he should be that much better of a coach this year and have that much better of a team. So I do like the LSU over 9.5. We also have Mississippi State over 6.5. I think that over 6.5 is going to be something that I'm playing because they're going to play hard for their fallen head coach, man. And Mike Leach passing away, literally a few days after my father, man. That was huge because I had met Mike Leach at the draft months before that as well too. So that's just crazy to me that I met that man in April and he was gone in October. So pretty much I think that Mississippi State is going to have one of those heartfelt seasons that they really put in a lot of work for their great ball coach and get themselves a 7-5, 8-4 season and play in a bowl game. And then we got Ole Miss under 7.5. I think Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin and crew, they're going to struggle a little bit this year. I know he has the quarterback. I know he has the offensive playbook. I know he has all that good stuff. But it seems like they don't play really good defense most of the year. They'll have their moments where they play great defense, but most of the time they don't. And I think that's going to be something that's going to mess them up in the end. So I do like the under 7.5 when it comes to Ole Miss. And then the team that's kind of my surprise team this year in the conference because they have the roster to be a surprise team. And Jimbo Fisher has to be on the hot seat this year because this is a show and prove season. So I'm thinking to myself that the boys from College Station wind up winning nine games or better this year. I think that it's going to be tough when you go to College Station to play against them. And I think that they're going to catch some upsets here on the road this year as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But who am I picking to win the SEC this year? I'm going to surprise y'all a little bit. And this year I'm going to take LSU to win the conference this year. And I love LSU with that 6-1 conference championship odds. And Georgia, once again, is a plus money favorite, but a small dog, though, plus 105 to Georgia. And Georgia does have the street credibility. They've won the conference 2 years in a row. And right now they are 18-0 in the last 2 years when it comes to the SEC. And I think they've only probably lost 2 games in the last 4. So that's absolutely incredible when it comes to this conference. So pretty much with that, I think 3 games in the last 4 years. So that's incredible. That's like really, really incredible. So, LSU, that's who I got winning the title for this conference. And pretty much there it is. That's going to be our preview for the Power 5. And I'll go ahead and make sure that I do tweet out all this for you guys on the Twitter right after the show so you guys don't miss out on that. And make sure we bookmark everything because I will come back to it and we will see exactly where we landed at. So with that, let's go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when I get back, we will be talking baseball. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We are not taking long at all with any of this stuff today because, we started the show late. I usually have the show going at noon. But tonight we got the Dodgers and the Red Sox going at it. Dodgers win another series again. Absolutely incredible. This team is insane. They just win no matter what. You know what I mean? So Dodgers secure another series win as they start 3-game series at Fenway versus Boston. And this series is about to start in the next few minutes as well, too. So pretty much you have a Dodgers team I feel should have a good weekend this weekend against this Boston team, but Boston has a lot more to play for. So if the Dodgers wind up losing the series, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. I'm telling you, don't panic. And man, it's only exclusive to Apple TV, so it looks like they're gonna probably buy all the Dodger games this weekend. So yeah, so pretty much I'm looking at it right now, and I truly do feel like this game in itself, Lance Lynn on the mound tonight, Cutter Crawford on the mound tonight. This game, you should expect this one to go under. I think it's going to be some good pitching going on here, and neither one of these guys are going to blink. But Lance Lynn is absolutely incredible. 169 strikeouts to 50 walks this year, but he's 9-9, but he has a 5.60 ERA. And the funniest part about it is he's actually in the National League, though. He has a 1.44 ERA because he's lowered this ERA down, because it's different when you come over to the next league, then that's how they use it. But the crazy part about it is Lance has made 5 appearances and he's won 3 games. Even though he hasn't had a decision in 2 of them, still, he's pitched very well in those 5 games. And he's going into tonight looking to lower that ERA some more. So this should be a really good spot. And when you look at the way that this sets up for the weekend, the Dodgers they are not going to push anything hard. Even though you got Julio Urias and Paxton going at it, that's the spotlight game on Fox tomorrow. And then you have the Sunday game, and you don't have a starter on either side yet. So that's what you're dealing with. But I think all in all, though, this is a series that the Dodgers can afford to lose if they do. And this is a series that the Red Sox really can't afford to lose. So you see my guessing with that. But I still think the Dodgers lock it down because the Dodgers ain't doing nobody no favors. There's no point to do that. There's no point to do that. You got to earn your wins in sports. You can't do favors for teams just because they chasing the playoff spot. Forget all that. You got to earn it. And that's exactly what is happening right now. And the Dodgers know they want to go to Boston and end this road trip on a winning note. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And we move forward from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our MLB Friday Night. We got a bunch of games going right now as I'm talking. So pretty much let's jump into it. We got this isn't like a big rivalry weekend, but we got some good games going on this weekend. And some teams are going to be either closer to the playoffs or further away from the playoffs. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and jump into our first game. And this is one of these games I'm talking about. You're either going to be further or closer to the playoffs. And that's going to be the Guardians 60-68, the Blue Jays 70-58 going into the game. And then you look at it and they're already going at it. So I know I'm running a little late, but I already put out the pick 6 for tonight. So pretty much in tonight's game, I feel like this one should go pretty well. And the way I'm setting this one up tonight is I like the Blue Jays with the -1.5 tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But we're getting +130 on that bad boy. The Guardians are running out of time, but it's only the Twins, and they got a few more series with them this year as well, too. So we'll see how things look for this team in September because they're going to have a great September for them to even think about the playoffs. Let's keep it real. So with that, let's move forward. And the Blue Jays, you already know what their issue is right now. They have played themselves into a position to where now they got to chase the Astros and the Mariners. It's tougher now, but it's okay. They're only a game and a half back, but they're going to need this weekend to go really well for them so they don't fall too much further back. And they got to hold all Boston as well, too. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump to our next one. Angels and Mets, 2 teams with high expectations going into the season that absolutely flopped. Let's keep it real. The Angels are without Ohtani. I already talked about that situation on Mike's show and on my show yesterday. I'm going to drop that segment for that as well, too. as soon as I get done with this show. I didn't have time today to cut up my video, so I'm going to cut it up and I'll release it this weekend. But all in all, let's keep it real. This is a whatever series. Both these teams are just they got to play the game because it's on the schedule. They're not really playing for much. And I truly do feel that the Mets should be able to dominate this game tonight. So I do have them with the minus 135 absolutely winning this game tonight. I just feel like the Angels have just given up on the season. And, it's tough to really do anything with them at this point because they just not playing with any spirit, in my opinion. So there it is. There it is. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the final game that I have here for you. And this is probably the best series of the weekend, and that's going to be the Braves and the Giants. The Braves coming here 82-44, Giants 66-61. Giants trying to make sure that they make the playoffs. They're a half a game behind the D-backs right now. And they have the same amount of losses, but they don't have there's 66 wins, Diamondbacks 67 wins. And I told you guys that we know there's a big series going on in Cincinnati with Cincinnati and Arizona this weekend. But San Francisco can go ahead and mess up everything for them if they can win this series against the Braves. The Braves, on the other hand, though, 82-44, trying to just go ahead and go through the motions, probably going to win 100 games this season. They got a lot of good looks going on for their team. So pretty much with that, we're going to go ahead tonight, and we're going to take the Giants with our late ticket with the plus 1.5. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take one final break. And when we get back, we're going to have Talkin Tickets, okay? So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
With the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. So we got Talking Tickets. Your favorite subject, my favorite subject. You guys already know what time it is. Nephew, already know he gave us the some news earlier. Jerry Jeudy got carted off the field. That's crazy. So that means that 2 receivers are out now for the Denver Broncos. So they'll probably be having some open tryouts over the weekend. You know what I mean? So pretty much we have Talking Tickets, and we have ourselves tonight the Sparks minus 125 money line. Also the under 82 first half as well. The Dreams. We got them with the plus half a point with the first quarter tonight. So that's what we're going with that. Okay, football tonight. We got the pick 3, 12-1. Lions plus 4.5. Titans money line minus 125. Chargers money line plus 285. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. 12-1 ticket right there. All right, we have ourselves the MLB Series Bets. The Tigers plus 170 this weekend. I'm going for an upset there. Going for the upset. We got the Rays minus 150. We also have the Mets minus 165. We have the Dodgers minus 135. We have the Brewers minus 130. And then we finish up with the other upset for our home team, Giants plus 175. And that's going to be our series bets for this weekend. All right, our pick 6 for tonight. is going to look like this. We got the Yanks plus 115. We also have the over 8.5 Nats and Yanks. Not Nats and Yanks, but Nats and the over 8.5. The Nats are playing the Cardinals. So I'll make sure to switch that up in a second. But Nats and Cardinals. And then we have the under 9 with the Cubs and the Pirates. And then we have the plus 1.5 with the Rockies minus 105 tonight. And then we have the Blue Jays plus 130 on their run line minus 1.5. And then, as I already said earlier, we got the Mets tonight with the big win minus 135. Okay, with the late ticket, we have the late pick 4, 15-1. I have the over 9 with the A's and the White Sox. And then we also have the under 8 with the Padres and the Brewers. And then we also have ourselves the Royals money line plus 155 and the Giants plus 1.5 run line tonight minus 140. But I'm thinking they can win that game tonight as well, too. But I'm just saying they're going to keep that one very, very close. So that's going to be our baseball for tonight. And here goes our first college football group for this year. We got a 49-1 super high five for week 0. And I think I'm going to do the Power 5 super high five every single week for you guys. So then we can just have my best 5 bets from the power conferences so we don't get anything confused. So CFB week 0 super high five 49-1. I'm going to go ahead and take the 20.5 on Notre Dame to win that game by 3 touchdowns or better. Also going to take UMass with the plus 7 tomorrow. I think that they're going to be a lot better than they've been over the last few years, because if they were really bad coming into that game, then they would have been the usual plus 15.5 or better. I think that they're trying to tell us that UMass could be a better team this year. So let's take advantage of that situation. I feel like Ohio gets themselves a great upset over in San Diego, because it seems like San Diego hasn't been able to beat a non-conference team that they're supposed to beat in a long time. And they're playing at home. I know that's a big advantage for them, but I also know that the Bobcats got the better quarterback. So we'll see how it goes. But I do like Ohio with the plus 115. And then we have the under 56 Hawaii and Vandy. That should be another good one tomorrow night as well, too. You got 2 very lowly teams, and I feel like the offenses are going to be not as on point as they need to be, and the defenses are going to be, fortunate enough to just be playing against a bad offense. So I'm going to take the under 56 in that spot. And then, you know what? I know USC should win this game easy, but I think they're going to have a little bit of difficulty because they're going to put too much pressure on themselves. They're going to try to be too cute. They're going to try to put 80 points on the board, and San Jose State's going to wind up playing a lot better than they should because USC is going to be trying to be too cute. So I'm going to take San Jose State with the plus 31. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to see how it shakes out. 49-1 ticket, pretty much 50-1 once you go ahead and put your money on it. So if you put 10 on this bad boy, you get back 490, but you make 500. And so on and so on and so on. So a $20 bet will get you back $1,000. So there it is. Small risk, big reward. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on Talking Tickets. And that's going to be a wrap on today's show and for this week. So we'll be back tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but we'll be back Monday. And we got a whole bunch to talk about on Monday. So you guys make sure to tune in, and we'll go ahead and we'll rap about it. You know what I mean? We got college football to talk about. We got the NFL to talk about. We also got some other breaking news and good stuff to talk about when it comes to the boxing world as well, too. So just tune in on Monday, and we're going to keep this movement moving. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. And I am the Primetime Capper, Pop DiBiase, and this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.